Well, good afternoon and hello. First, I'd like to welcome everyone to this event of the Spotlight Series. But specifically, first, I'd like to join the Cal Poly Pomona faculty and students, along with the SoCal Insights Association members, and then also non-members of the overall data and insights community. Real quick for a quick house cleaning, we're going to have several people behind the scenes in regards to addressing any questions. We're going to try and do small breaks between each moderation between students and the LRW team. And then towards the end, if we have additional questions, we'll follow those. But at least between the breaks, I'll try and answer as many questions I can in the allotted time. For those that are participating with, this is a part of our,
it's just M. Halberstam 53.
For those that are participating, this is an initiative for our diversity and inclusion. For this first Spotlight series, this is the student journey, and really want to display and showcase for the members and non-members kind of the background between the first footsteps of where these students take their journey and just preparing to move on to the young professional and to take on their new journey after leaving and graduating. So for this, I'd like to do a quick introductory. For the students that are participating, just a little bit of background on the SoCal Insights Association. As the leading voice, resource, and network for market research, data and analytics community, the Insights Association helps its members in quality standards, legal and business advocacy, along with education, certification, and direct support to enable our members to strive for the evolving industry and to drive overall business impact. And for those members and non-members, you're going to get a little bit of insights of what the CPP students and specifically the AMI do to prepare themselves for our data and insights community. With that said, before I start, I really wanted the members and non-members to get a little better understanding what's going on with Cal Poly Pomona and the overall Insights Association. So with that, I just want to introduce Jillian and Gerard that's going to spend a few minutes with a presentation.
Great, let me get that screen sharing.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get started. Hello, everyone. We are Cal Poly Pomona, also known as the California State Polytechnic University Pomona, or CPP. My name is Jillian, and I will give a short presentation about who we are along with Jared Griffin. So Cal Poly Pomona is home to over 26,000 students spread out across 9 colleges. We are well known for our diversity, social mobility, value, and quality of education. We do this by embracing a learn by doing hands-on approach. Recently, Cal Poly Pomona has been ranked number 25 for total minority bachelor's degrees awarded in all disciplines by Diverse Issues in Higher Education. We are ranked number 10 nationally according to the 2019 Social Mobility Index. We also ranked number 15 nationally in Money Magazine's list of best colleges in America ranked by value. We were the highest ranking in the California State University system, putting us above 22 other campuses. We were also ranked number 2 by US News for the top public schools in the West, and number 10 among all public and private schools in the West. The College of Business Administration has over 5,000 students. Undergraduate students will earn a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration in one of the 8 majors listed on this slide. For those majoring in marketing management, there are a total of 54 core units of classes that are not listed on this slide. This includes Principles of Marketing, which is like the Marketing 101 level class. As a marketing major, the subplan requires 17 more units of specific upper division classes. To emphasize, in Consumer Insights and Analytics, students need to take 13 units worth of electives. The College of Business Administration also has 7 graduate degree programs. There is a Master of Science in Accountancy, Business Administration, Business Analytics, and Information Security, with degrees in Digital Marketing, Supply Chain Management, and Financial Analysis coming soon.
So under the CPA, we actually have the Center for Customer Insights and Digital Marketing. The center's mission is to produce the finest next generation customer insights and digital marketing professionals, partner with businesses to solve marketing problems about their consumers, and advance our knowledge in buyer behavior in the digital economy through cutting-edge research within and across disciplines. To accomplish this mission of student success, the center has 3 signature programs that draw in students from across the entire university, such as Jillian, who's a psychology major. Let's take a closer look at each one of these programs. So first, we have the CCIDM internship, which consists of 3 groups: the Digital Marketing Implementation Group, Marketing Science and Analytics Group, as well as the Academic Research Group. Each group has multiple positions, but it is expected that all of the interns at the center do some sort of academic research. Next, we have the Customer Insights Consultancy Program, which is a 2-semester-long project-driven class with a real client, where students get to go through the entire research process following the insights industry's standards for consulting. And finally, we have the Analytics and Marketing Insights Club, which serves to connect the university to the industry. We have over 10 e-board members and host workshops and guest speakers from across the industry. We also compete in competitions such as the GFK Next Gen Hackathon, which we competed in last semester and had 2 teams advance to the finals. All right, thank you.
Kwame, you're still muted.
Sorry about that. I want to say thanks to Jillian and Jared. Also, just to give a little background in regards to the diversity within the college, the comprises of basically 42% Hispanic, roughly 23% Asian, 18% white, and then for the last 17%, we have a breakout of 6% international, along with 6% African American, and then other. So really a very diverse background, and love the programs that are being ingested within the CPP. With that being said, I'm going to take a moment to introduce Jae Min Jung, who not only was an ex-board member for the SoCal Insights Association, but is currently holding the role of Professor of Marketing and Director of Consumer Insights and Digital Marketing. So with this said, I'd like to introduce Professor Jae Min.
Thank you, Kwame. We created the club in 2013 to help students develop their professionalism through networking. As far as I know, this is the only market research club in the state of California. I attribute this to Cal Poly's learn by doing philosophy. While other schools may teach the concept in a traditional way, reading and homework, for instance, we at Cal Poly think that giving students an opportunity to experience the whole research process through a real project is a much better way to teach the concept. The idea of the club was born when Wendy Brown, a student of mine, told me that she really enjoyed doing research and could picture herself doing so as a career, but didn't know any insights professional. I didn't know anyone either, so I searched online and found the Market Research Association. Until then, I have never heard about it because, just like most professors, I attended only academic conferences up to that point. To make the long story short, I contacted a SoCal chapter of MRA, while Wendy contacted the university to start the Cal Poly Pomona Market Research Club. 7 years have passed since then, and both the association and the club have gone through name changes, but our bonds have gotten even stronger with a desire to educate the next generation of professionals. I'm very grateful for the collaboration we have had and hope that we continue our partnership for years to come. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. And thank you so much for your time and for the students. For us, being the intermediate past president of the SoCal chapter, I think it's very important not only to give back, but pay forward. And one of the initiatives that we've had over the past few years is really focusing on young professional mentoring, as well as better understanding through the forefront what's on the top of the minds of these students as they go into the workforce. So starting out this Spotlight series, I feel was very critical, not only for a better kind of, let's just say, viewpoint from the students' mind, but also to the members and non-members here to reflect on the future opportunities that are coming their way. Because for me personal, as being an African-American, when I first started in the industry, you really, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 people across multiple companies that I may have seen as same color or same background. So to see different diversity and as it evolves is really important. For me personally, when you think of middle management or you think of higher up C-levels, it's been predominantly white, which is not necessarily, a framing of the interests of where African Americans or Asians or Hispanics and so forth versus just the natural progression of just a specific industry. But I think the SoCal membership, along with national, is really trying to promote and give an understanding of what the association is really about and the opportunities. A lot of people think of the data and insights community where they don't think about AI or they don't think about some of the cool and cutting edge things that are going on in research. And that's where the responsibility of the Insights Association and our members really want to introduce the students to those opportunities. With that being said, I really want to take our first segment over to the student panelists. But before I start with the questions, I'd like to introduce the panelists themselves. First, we have Jared Griffin. I'll have him give a little bit of his information and insights after I announce everybody. Secondly, we have Jillian Munez, Sebastian Hernandez, and then finally, Chris Lee. And I really want to thank them first for taking the opportunity to spend some time to tell us a little bit about their story and also to participate in this session. So with that, I will start out with Jared. And first, if you can just give us a little bit about your major and then also how you fell into the AMI.
Sure. So my name is Jared Griffin. A little bit of a background about myself. I am a computer information systems major with an emphasis in business intelligence. I hold a few positions at the center, such as assistant lead, as well as junior marketing scientist. I also hold the director of professional development position at the AMI executive board. I also do some research at the center with Jillian on a project involving locally made branding strategies. I kind of fell into Insights and the club through a recruitment email with Dr. Jung, and I joined and kind of joined all aspects of the center and club.
Excellent, excellent, and welcome. Second, I'd like to introduce Jillian Munez. And if you could just give a little bit of your background, and after you finish, I may have an additional question for you, a little bit different than Jared.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jillian Munoz, and I'm a psychology major, marketing management minor. I work in the center as the social media marketing and analytics specialist. I'm also a research associate, and I'm involved in 2 research projects in the center. I've served many different positions in the AMI club, but currently I am the vice president. I was on Jared's team where we won 2nd place in the GFK hackathon, and I also participated in another national hybrid hackathon type of competition for Hispanic serving institutions where my team made it to finals.
Excellent. And I was going to say, you're a little mind reading there, because I was going to say, what would you throw as one of your achievements? And you just brought it out there. So really appreciate you sharing that. Also, in regards to the AMI, how long have you been involved with it?
Right. So I transferred from a community college in fall 2019. So that's basically the same time I got involved in research in the center, is the same time I joined the club. And so I've been here for over a year now, almost a year and a half. And uh, so far, I've really enjoyed all the training and also social opportunities that the club has offered me. So I've enjoyed my time I've spent here a lot.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Jillian. Next will be Sebastian Hernandez. Appreciate your time. And if you could share a little bit of your background, and I have a few questions for you as well.
Thank you, Kwame. Hello, everyone. I'm Sebastian Hernandez, and I am a marketing management major with an emphasis in consumer insights and analytics. And my first journey as a researcher began actually in the GFK hackathon in the spring of 2020, where our team actually was also in the finals. And it was really nice to experience because it was most of ours first time competing in such a competition. As of now, I currently hold the position as the Director of Finance in AMI, also involved in the Customer Insights and Consultancy Program, and have recently become a research assistant at the Center for Customer Insights and Digital Marketing.
Excellent. And then in regards to the overall data and insights community, what does that picture in your mind look like?
Well, the insights community for me is mostly about research and business being combined. And for me, there's an interest of finding insights for business information, which is really important for growth.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Sebastian.
No problem.
And last but not least, I'd like to introduce Chris Lee to give a little bit of his background and also some questions for him as well. And then from there, I will segue back and forth to the group with various questions that they can chime in on as well. Christopher?
Thanks, Kwame. Hey, everyone. My name is Chris Lee. I'm actually a non-traditional student. I spent some time in the workforce already, primarily in sales and marketing. And we use quite a bit of data analysis tools in that role. And that's when I became interested in data analysis. And I decided to pursue my education at Cal Poly Pomona. I am a computer information systems major. I'm involved in the customer insights consultancy program led by Dr. Jung and Dr. Stein. And I'm also the director of data analytics for a club here on campus where I run workshops on how to use Tableau. And we're ramping up to compete in some competitions in the spring as well.
Excellent. And with that being said, Chris, saying that you've had as little time in the workforce, for you, as I said before, when I first came into the industry, I really saw 1, 2, 3 of people of color that reflected me. For you being in the industry as well, do you see a good amount from a percentage wise or something that you'd like to see more of?
I would say it's probably something I'd like to see more of. In the company that I worked in, I was the only Asian guy there. There wasn't actually too many minorities in general. So I think the industry does call for more diversity.
Excellent. And then, this question's for you, Jared. For you, as you move from currently a student and graduating, what are some of the fears or challenges that you think that you'll face as you move towards the workforce?
Yeah, so I think some of the fears I have would be obviously finding a job, but more so like being able to utilize the things and skills I've learned as a student. So for instance, like programming, I really love to program. So not being able to do that in a job would kind of not be it would be a pretty big disappointment for me.
Got it. Got it. And for you, Jillian, obviously with COVID, who knows what's going to happen as we move into 2021, vaccines and so forth, thinking about current states, same question for you, some fears and challenges from your perspective.
Right. So something I fear I might face in the future is finding the right fit for the kind of firm I would like to work with. Because of my psychology background, I feel like there's a lot of parts of a person, whether they're coworkers or managers or even clients, that I'd like to put at the forefront and maintain my values. So I feel like in order not to sacrifice an important part of myself for a job or a career, I need to find the right firm for me, basically. So going through that process is something I think would be, it's not as obvious or right out there, out in the open. So it will require effort on my part, along with just having the right people to do interviews with, or to learn more about the industry and also specific organizations.
Excellent. And just to a great segue, so Sebastian, I'm going to go a little off the cuff, but in one of our conferences that we had a while back, we had a speaker and he talked about people and companies being in 3 states, and he called it the 3 S's. And with COVID and everything going on, individuals can think about this where they are, and also businesses. But the 3 S's were survival, sustain, and strive. With that being said, are there any of those S's that scare you with potential companies in their current state? And then a second question to that is culture a driving component for you when you look at companies as well?
Honestly, I really agree with those 3 S's, because in order to be in such a competitive environment, you should first survive and then sustain. But for me, the culture has to really be something that I want to be a part of. I want, just like Jillian, to have the same values that align with me personally, so I can, in order for me to help out the firm or the company grow to striving into the level that they want to achieve.
Excellent, excellent. What I love about what you guys are doing, and Jae Min and the team, is not only building the AMI and where it is today, but for people that are on this call and participating, it's really preparing you guys in a better position that I feel that I didn't have the opportunity to do, because a lot of the insights and information that I was doing, I kind of fell into. For me, I had a background that started out working in syndicated data. I worked for IRI. Then I transitioned over to the CPG side, and then over to the online world. So a lot of stuff, was kind of a hybrid and a chameleon, but being able to have a student-based curriculum where it gives you the ability to start thinking about how researchers and insights are thinking about it, and then some of the new technologies. I think you guys are taking a step forward, and really appreciate everything that's going on with CPP. So really want to thank you, students, for all of your time. If we have time a little bit later, I'm going to take a small break. Patrick, I wasn't sure if there was any questions before I jump over to the next segment.
So it looks like we don't have any questions currently, but if anyone does have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and I will go ahead and bring it up in the time being. All right.
All right, perfect. So to be cognizant of our time, we're now going to take the student journey slowly to migrate over to the workforce. And I want to give a warm welcome to our Lieberman Research Worldwide participant, Hillary Stablefelt, and she is a senior manager for the global data collection. So I just want to welcome Hillary.
Thanks, Kwame.
All right, thanks for your time. Well, before we start, I'd love for you to just give a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Sure, yeah, it's great to meet all of you guys on the call. Thank you for having me. I have been working for Lieberman for almost 4 years now. I've been on the global data collection team my entire time here. But I've been in the market research industry a little bit longer. I started at a smaller automotive market research company before, and that's kind of how I got really excited about market research, and then found my way to Lieberman. But previously I was a bit more on the qualitative and in the field side of things. And on the global data collection team, I work closely with outside vendors and internal project teams to bid work, consult on the logistics of running various methodologies of market research, and just problem solving every day.
Got it. And I think it's interesting too, because you said earlier, your journey kind of started on the qualitative side, and to jump over to a large firm like LRW, what struck interest for you to kind of jump over from the qualitative to kind of go more on the combination of quant, qual, and multi-mode?
Yeah. So the company that I worked at previously was much more of a mom and pop size company, which is a very different experience. I'm really glad that I've had, both vantage points to inform my experience. But I think I just saw some blind spots being at a smaller company. You only have so much experience when you're working at a smaller company like that. And data quality was really important to me. I could kind of see certain shortcomings, and the more I learned about Lieberman and a lot of the big players in the growing online market research space, there were a lot of innovations that were happening at Lieberman that you just can't encounter at a smaller company. So to see all of the great things that they were doing, the clients they were working with, the big impact they were making, it was like an easy transition for me. And I've grown exponentially since I started.
Excellent. And what I love about this first series is that I'll be speaking to Billy later, but Billy being a previous AMI participant and student of CPP, what I love about it, speaking to China, is currently with your team, the dynamics in regards to some of the diversity. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think we have a fairly diverse team. We have about 25 folks on our team. We provide such wealth of knowledge for the various clients that we all work with, and we work pretty closely with various teams. So I'll do a lot of work with, maybe a dozen or so clients. But in terms of diversity, I think we really work hard to ensure that we're seeing all perspectives on our team, and that comes from making sure that our team represents lots of perspectives. I think we're really thoughtful in that aspect, trying to make sure that our viewpoints can reflect those of the people that we are trying to conduct research on. So we've worked really hard in the last few years, especially, I think, at least in the time that I've been there, to grow our team and be thoughtful of the people that we kind of bring into our little family.
Excellent. And to segue on that, perfect timing that you finished that off with family. I had questions earlier to Sebastian when I talked about the culture. For the students that are on this call, can you give a little bit of background on the culture that, from your perspective, that's going on with LRW?
Yeah, myself?
Yes. How do you feel?
Sorry.
Yeah, most definitely. For the students that are on here, from your perspective, when you first came over from the quant over to LRW, and then kind of, embedding yourself into the teams and the various departments, what do you think about the culture for the students that are out there?
Yeah, I think company culture is really huge at LRW, and especially on our team. Each project team, different operations teams have their own cultures just inherently by the people that are on those teams. And I feel really lucky that I have kind of previous employment that I can look to and, see really what's so great about LRW. We work very closely together on various projects. We are always looking to help one another out. If there's something that I'd like to embark on, maybe working on a new type of methodology or with a new team or client, I never feel like it's something I can't do. I can always ask, and it's eventually granted. And I have a really strong team that is always available in one way or another to kind of group together and make sure that the work gets done. We're all just such a proactive group of people. And I think looking at other teams, just from past jobs, I know that that isn't always the case. So having the resources, especially even during this pandemic, to always be able to reach out to folks and know that somebody will be there to help me, whether it be China or Billy, somebody always has my back, and I can always chat with them and truly learn something new every day.
Excellent. And I've heard nothing but good stuff about you, Hillary. So really appreciate you sharing that. Before
Yeah.
I jump over to Billy, I've got one more question for you, and this could be a combination for the companies and employees that are on the call, along with the students. When you're looking to hire people like Billy and other new candidates, what do you look for people that mesh within your team?
Yeah, for our team, we're just looking for, and I think this is in general, but we definitely pay close attention to this in the hiring process. Just that folks are really open to asking questions. I think that's like my biggest piece of advice, especially as somebody who was a bit more withdrawn in my, start at LRW. It's easy to think that either you're bugging somebody or there's an obvious answer somewhere that you just haven't found. Just ask the question. It doesn't hurt to ask, whether you're in the hiring process trying to learn more about the team that you're interested in, or you've been hired and you're learning new things. LRW in particular is like a whole new world. It's like learning a new language coming to LRW. And you're never going to run out of questions to ask. So just ask them. Always take great notes. If you're worried that you might miss a question that you think has value, I like to think about it like imagining that I'm sitting with the people that I trust the most, whether it be my teammates or I'm talking to a family member, and I write out what those really honest questions are, and maybe I find a different way to articulate it, but always ask the questions, whether it be about the diversity of a team or something you're learning on a daily basis. Just always ask. You're going to keep learning. Eventually you won't ask the same question. So yeah, ask.
Excellent. And for the students out there, I would definitely second that. I always say, be a chameleon, be a sponge, be a good listener, and be curious. So that will always help you take the next level. And also connections. We've got Billy, we've got students, Jae Min, we've got the SoCal chapter. Networking is a key component. And for us out there, we're always wanting to help you guys go to the next level. So always know that you can reach out to the SoCal Insights Association for questions as well. So Hillary, thank you so much for your time. Great questions. We may have some follow-up at the end, but I'm going to now segue over to Billy, who I haven't spoken with in a while since my last time on the university. So I just want to give a warm welcome to Billy, and thanks for joining.
Hey, yeah, thank you for having me here. This is great.
Yeah, what I love about this, Billy, is, from the year when I was the SoCal president and some of the meetings that we had at your guys' campus and the conversation that you and I had, to be able to see you go from student to jump over to a great company like LRW, it's great to see from the bridges, for you to cross that bridge and to be able to be in the workplace. So before I talk any further, can you just give a little bit of background about you, jump in a little bit about CPP and the AMA, and then kind of your journey on your first steps of interest of starting to interview with LRW?
Yeah, so let's see, I graduated back in May 2020. I got my degree in marketing with an emphasis in marketing research, where I worked under Dr. Jung. I was under Dr. Jung as a research associate. I was involved with his center. There I was, the research associate and like an corporate and external relations specialist. Then I was part of AMI, which was originally the MRC, the Market Research Club. We decided to rebrand ourselves. I was the vice president and then elected president in my last semester. And that's where I met Kwame. He brought over Katie Gross, and that was really great. I had aspirations for, working at a big market research company. And of course, being in Southern California, LRW is always on the top of that list. So aspirations were there fairly early on when I learned about market research. So then I originally started applying, and then, COVID-19 happened, kind of pushed that back a bit. But I was lucky enough to, have China and Dr. Jung talking together, and then, my name came up for the GDC associate position, and was able to get into interviews and then go from there.
And real quick, Billy, for the students that are on here, can you tell them some of the things that you prepared for the interviewing process? Obviously, it's great, as I said before, in regards to networking, connecting, to be able to have Dr. Jung and China have that relationship to help you with the foot forward. But for you, how did you prepare in regards to, you know, a company and a role that you really wanted to become a part of?
Yeah, so part of, being in a market research industry is research. So I did a lot of research on everyone I was going to interview with. I was very fortunate enough to be given the names of who was going to interview me. So I went on their LinkedIn's, wrote down questions I had for them based off their profile, type of things they had, questions I had that were kind of related to where their role is or what it seems to be and the company, and then relating that back to myself. And just practiced a lot about, possible questions, a lot of self-reflection. What do I really bring to the company that I can actually have, drawing on my experiences. I wrote down everything that was valuable to me in my learning experiences, courses, projects, everything that basically made me who I am and a good candidate.
That's awesome. You did a little research on research, which I love. And then on top of that, you know, letting somebody know why you deserve to be there. And I think that's key for the students that are on here. If there's something that you really want to ascertain and go after, you've got to do the due diligence and really know that the people that you're speaking to on the other side of the desk know that you did your homework. So that was some great touch points, Billy. To segue off of that, you know, for the students that are there, what advice would you give to them as they move from graduation onto the workforce?
Really just be confident, believe in yourself, Um, I think I'm doing decently well right now in my position. I have quite a few projects under my belt that I'm working on. And all of these skills that I'm able to, I have all these skills that I brought over from what I learned from AMI, Cal Poly, the center, all of the experiences. They all make me who I am, which is now, what I consider to be at least for entry level, a good employee. So, believe in yourself, really pull together, think about who you are, what you have to offer, of course. Um, and just network, look for opportunities. There's nothing wrong with being opportunistic.
Not at all. And then also, I would say when you first came on, you know, we talked about it earlier with the students, you know, in regards to when you first came on board, we talked about Hillary, talked about the culture, talked about diversity in the team. What did you think about when you first joined the team in regards to your mindset of thinking, would you be potentially the only Hispanic, or what percentage were Hispanic versus Blacks versus Asians and so forth? So what was your kind of overall perspective when you started with LRW?
So the first thing that stood out to me, and this was apparent even in just the interviews, was the diversity of the team. It wasn't just straight across one face looking at me. Everyone was a little different just on the surface level. And then once I got to join the team, start to talk to people, know them, it also became very apparent that their deep diversity was also there. Different educational backgrounds, different work backgrounds, different aspirations and goals for the long term. And for me, that's great because it really helped me um, learn the job better. I'm not getting, I can have one problem and I can ask 4 or 5 different people. I'm not going to get the same solution or same response a single time. And that's best for me as a learner, but that diversity there because I can pick and choose what I want that works best for me and my learning and then my work ethic.
And that's great. And I think that also goes along with the overall research format as itself. You know, when we talk about whether it be sample or whether it be the survey design, you know, I remember a conversation that looking over here on the bars, Carlos Garcia from Garcia Research, he and I had a very good conversation in regards to the Hispanic research that he does. And when you have certain companies that say, okay, the plus or minus is X%, and depending on budget and costs, and they say, well, maybe we can maybe let that slide. And Carlos brought up a great example. He said, you know, if you don't do the right representation, you might as well take a total US population and say, we're not going to include the Northeast region. And so I think by having that diversity and people on the team to be able to make sure there's representation is key, because on the research that we're giving back to our clients and to the various stakeholders, it's imperative to have representation, not only in the research that we do, but in the diversity of companies. So I really love what LRW is doing in regards to their focus on diversity and the mix of the teams. And it's great to hear their overall global stance. So really appreciate that time, Billy. With that being said, I'm going to jump over to Patrick because we've finished our session across all of our panelists, and I just want to take a moment to see if there's any additional Q&As or if any of the panelists have any questions for me that I can give back to the audience.
Yeah, I think Carlos would like to say something.
Yes, I would actually. Thank you. I wanted to talk to you guys about something the Insights Association is doing, which is we're preparing to launch the IDEA Council. The idea being inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. And there are two prongs to that. One is the HR side, in terms of hiring, pay equity, promotion equity, all that kind of thing. On the other side is the research side and the quality of the population representation that we achieve. Because people will just blow it off and they don't care about the African Americans, they don't care about Latinos, they don't care about the Asian Americans. They just will ignore these populations, even though they're quite significant. And obviously, collectively, we're massively significant. So people blow them off to their peril. And it's a business decision also, it's a business imperative. So we're gonna be announcing that initiative next week. It's really quite exciting news, and it'll definitely impact on students wanting to look for jobs, because Cal Poly Pomona is extraordinarily diverse, and we are really going to be actively pushing the industry to hire a diverse mix of employees.
Excellent, Carlos. Thank you for sharing that. And then Patrick, do we have any additional questions? It looks like a couple may have popped up.
Yes, so we have one that says, what are students' expectations on salary for an entry-level analyst position?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, I'll let Hillary chime in, but I would say, depending from my perspective, depending on the business size, depending on the company, and depending on in regards to the specifics. And what I mean by that, if you're going in for a junior role, like a junior, let's just say client development, or if you're going in as a junior analyst, depending on your skill sets, it could vary. And then also depending on the region, obviously California versus Texas versus Arizona, there's going to be some different metrics there. But usually, I feel that companies are looking at fair value. And those ranges for me that I've seen historically from the jobs that we've had have ranged anywhere from, let's just say, 40 to 65K. They could be a little bit lower depending on certain regions. So maybe drop that down to 30 to 60K. But normally I see that from the East Coast, Midwest to the West Coast.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Kwame. I would say at least for LA, it's about 40 to 50K. But if you're coming in on more maybe marketing and data scientist type analyst teams, it could be a bit higher. But for entry level data collection and research associate positions, at least that I'm particularly aware of, it's about 40 to 50K, like you said. It might be different if you're, not in a big city, but that's about right.
Yeah, and for the students that are out there, sometimes you want to bet on yourself. And what I mean by that is, to Hillary's point, let's just say you're trying to come out of the gate and get the 60K or the 50K. Sometimes you may want to hedge your bets on yourself. And if there's an opportunity with an LRW or a company that you really want to work for, maybe getting that 45K base and proving yourself, you can be pleasantly surprised how quick you can go up the ladder if you put in the work and make sure you're showing the stakeholders within that company your worth. Because a lot of times, sometimes you want to sacrifice to get into the door versus trying to wait for the specific dollar amount that might be on your mindset, because sometimes those opportunities come and go. So also think about that from your perspective when you look at the workforce, that sometimes, as much as you want the money, sometimes you want to do the pros and cons for the job and the overall what you want to do moving forward for your work, for your work as you evolve. Patrick, any other questions out there?
I believe those are all the questions I have received.
All right. Well, this has been a great session. I really want to say thanks again to Jared, Jillian, Sebastian, Chris, also Hillary and Billy. It's been a pleasure. Also, what I want you guys to know is this is the first of many Spotlight series. Some of the topics that we're going to be moving on is also talking about something similarly that Carlos talked about, is taking this story from here and having a perspective from middle management and upper management to help set the tone for students and young professionals of career path. And some of those learnings that, you know, whether it be myself, China, you know, Michael Haberstein that I see on here as well, where we can give some guidance for these opportunities to lead your career path, because it's really important to be able to have that foresight and to prepare you guys for success. You know, for us, we always want to say, you know, I want to bump my head enough to get my learnings, but for those that move forward, I want to be able to give them some insights to minimize the pain threshold, and also to give them some insights to succeed. You know, for me, I always try and build my team in the mindset of saying, look, I want somebody to be able to take on my role. I may not be here for the next 10 years, or it's something that I know that the next successor will take the company to the next level. So I always want to prepare my team to take on my position. You know, for us, I want to be as selfish or as unselfish as possible, to be able to be a chameleon and a sponge. You know, in the Hollywood terms, from an actor, always work on your craft. No matter how good you think you are at a certain position or a certain role, or you may be a specialist, always work on your craft, because take on different insights, take on different perspectives. It'll make you more well-rounded, and that's what companies are looking for today. So with that, I'm going to end the session if we don't have any other questions, but I want to thank once again the Cal Poly Pomona faculty, students, along with the SoCal Insights Association members, and then also for the data and insights community that are participating as well. Once again, I want to thank you guys, and to also wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.